Go ahead.
Do you need to do the thing?
That's what I said.
Welcome back to I Hate That Shit, a podcast about hating shit and loving life. I'm Liz. That over there is...
Who am I? Hi guys,
forget
this
it?
is Bonnie. Hope this finds you well. Hope everyone's doing good out there. Hope you're staying safe from that heat out there, because it is hot. It is hot.
Yeah,
Did you
just
see?
a little toasty.
A little toasty.
A little chilly, honestly. Could use a
Whatever.
sweater.
Whatever. God, it's too hot.
It's only, what, like 109? I don't think it's only getting up to, like, what, 106, 107 today? It's cooling
hot.
off.
It's still hot.
It's cooling off.
Yeah, I mean, it's hot. But I got the black skin. I can handle it.
And, of course,
Yes.
we have one of our favorites,
Yes.
Cynthia.
Yes.
I'm their only favorite. That's what they tell me.
Well.
You're at least number 2 in Bonnie's book.
All right. Yeah,
I'll take
that'll
it.
work. Yeah,
I'll
she'll
take
take it.
Nobody's topping Jacob.
Yeah, well, she's number 1 outside of podcasting. How's that?
Oh, well.
She already knows that, though. So
Yeah.
All right.
If
so
you just take him out the mix, you're number 1.
she knows.
Us, even within the podcast, just take Jacob out.
No,
Wow.
we're not gonna do that.
We need his expertise.
Yes, we had a good lunch
I just
today.
meant the favorite
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, we went out to lunch today. The team did. I Hate That Shit team. It was fun. It was good. It was yummy. And now we're back here podcasting. What are we talking about today, Liz?
Colts.
Colts. I like it.
Colts.
Colts. Like, like MAGA.
Yeah, like
Shouldn't get excited about it.
Like MAGA. That is definitely a cult. But I wanted to read a little bit about it before we get into it. What the definition is.
And for the record, this isn't a MAGA hat.
Well, it looks like
If you
one.
block the light, it's an
Still
angel.
looks like when it's red. Anyway,
Because I'm an angel.
it's a small group which is typically led by a charismatic and self-appointed leader who excessively controls its members, requiring unwavering devotion to a set of beliefs and practices which are considered deviant. The term is also used for a new religious movement or social group which is defined by unusual religion, spiritual and philosophical beliefs and rituals, or its common interest in a particular person, object, or goal. And I mean, that's true. I mean, look, we can look at all the cults from years back.
Yeah.
I know you've been watching that show, what is it called? The Cult Leader? How to Become
a cult leader, I
How to
think is what
Become
it's
a-
called.
yeah.
I think that's the name of it. Yeah, I just stumbled on it. It's so good.
What'd you learn?
It just tells you, like, the steps of, like, how to build that following, right? Like, getting people to do
what
your
you-
deeds
right.
and become immortal and
Right.
get people to follow you, all that good stuff.
Yeah, that.
How to build loyalty.
Yeah. There's a lot of them out there that people are brainwashed.
They give you a step by step
Of course they do. That's the way they brainwash
of how
you.
people become, and it's more of like how people become cult leaders, so that you kind of understand more of the psychology of the person
Right.
that
That's doing
joins the
controlling.
cult.
Oh, that person.
Yeah.
Not the cult leader itself.
Yeah.
Himself. or
Yeah,
herself.
because it's like typically they get people who are at their worst.
Yes.
Right,
vulnerable
like you get,
people.
like-
Yep.
Most of the time young,
Mm-hmm.
very young, but vulnerable, like something going on.
In
They're
need.
lost,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
need, lost,
yeah.
and
Has no family. Has
or
no
even
one.
if they do, it's not like a close knit.
Right.
And they bring them in and they give them a sense of community and a sense of purpose and people that love them and care. This feeling that people love you and care about you and like we're here for you.
Yeah.
And it just takes people at their most vulnerable, at their lowest, and it builds them up and gives
Yeah.
them safety and protection and
So
love, and
even having all of those things, how do you lose your sense of self just because someone takes you in and is kind to you? You know what I mean? I mean, why do you lose that sense of self? Like you're they're there to because they built them up, made them feel special, made them like sense of community.
Yeah.
I get all that, but then when do you lose your critical thinking skills to realize that, hey, this isn't right, or are you so into it that is your belief now? You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's kind of that. It's that you want to give back and you want to be a part.
Yeah,
Right.
I think
So
that
much.
overwhelming sense of community is where it's at. It is you start thinking like the people
Yeah.
around you.
It becomes you.
And even if you don't, maybe you are questioning it, you are saying maybe, hey, maybe this isn't
Right.
right, maybe it doesn't matter because everyone's doing it.
Yeah.
And so you kind of were just like, oh, okay, until you've then convinced yourself that that's
Yeah.
Your belief.
I mean, I feel
agree
like
with
it
that.
happens in all facets of life.
Right.
People focus on cult
Right.
because that's the easy thing to
I agree with
point
that.
your finger at and call crazy and
Right.
say you're
Right.
insane. But if you look at, say, high school mentality or
Oh,
middle
yeah.
school mentality, how many kids give up,
Right.
who they were to become the cool kid, the
Right.
popular
That
kid,
is
the
true.
theater kid.
That
They
is true.
find some group that accepts them and they start kind of morphing
Right.
to fit in with that.
Yeah,
Now
that
that's a much
sucks.
smaller scale, obviously, and you're not as hazardous
Right.
most of the time.
Right.
But
Okay,
it's
but
essentially
what do you
that.
mean by hazardous? With a cult member, with a person turning into a cult leader, or what?
Well,
or to yourself? Are you
no, I
hazardous
mean
to
like when you
yourself?
talk about in cults,
Right.
a lot of them end up killing themselves
Oh, yeah.
or killing others or doing heinous crimes. Sometimes even you fall in with the wrong crowd. You
Yeah.
can go from this nice
That
sweet
is
kid
true.
to
That is true. Yeah. A
junkie
thug.
living in a crack house
That's
who
true. Man. Sad.
kills people for $20.
Right.
Like
Right. Yeah.
it's a
That is a hazard.
that's not necessarily
makes
as
sense.
prominent.
Right, but it makes
but-
sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I personally do not know of anyone that's been in a cult, but why don't we talk about some of the cults that we do know? The first one that comes to my mind is Heaven's Gate. Do you guys remember that one?
Yeah.
That they were dressed in
I didn't
purple.
realize they were so recent.
Yeah. They dressed in all purple robes. I'm sure they took cyanide. They all laid down in the bed and they were supposed to go meet the mothership on the comet. Not Haley's comet. Haley.
No, it was,
I can't remember the comet. That they were
There
supposed
was a
to go
spaceship following the comet.
following the comet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
that's right.
Can you imagine?
No.
And 9/11 was the sign that it was the time
Exactly.
to hurry up and get out.
Heaven's Gate, I don't know. I mean, these people, they ranged from, I think, like 12 to, old people up in their
Yeah.
70s. And how do you follow someone so completely that you're willing to, I guess you're willing to suspend all belief to me, to belong. And I just I don't see that. I mean, it's not me, because I would honestly question how I was gonna get up to that motherfucking comet. And they weren't going in a ship, so I guess they were thinking their
They
souls
were
were going
gonna be
up.
abducted
They were
to
gonna-
the ship.
Right, if they died, their spirits, right?
Well, they
Or
started with you had to be in they didn't call it a body, it was a vehicle,
Right.
right? And so you had to be in your vehicle to go. And then they changed it to the soul is separate from the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
So your soul can leave your vehicle to go and enter your next body. Not necessarily reincarnation.
That's what I was gonna say.
because you're going up to your alien form.
Right. Right.
But, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, for people who believe that way, you know.
I feel like a lot of these cults start with at least decent intentions.
Right.
Not always necessarily the best of intentions, but at least somewhat decent ones. Some, not all of them.
Well, you
But
don't-
and then
I
it
don't
just
know. Do you
manifests
know-
and it gets bigger
But
and
do you
bigger
know what
and bigger.
unless you know what the master plan is from the beginning,
Right.
I don't know. If
But that's
true.
the thing;
I
they
mean,
don't
like,
start with the knowledge. It kind of
They just know they want to.
To belong. They
No,
want
no. I mean, like the leaders.
The leader. Oh, they want power and control.
I guess that's probably
I mean,
and then the power just multiplies. and
Yeah.
they just-
I mean, it's bloodlust. You know, you're thirsty for that. You want people to. You want to be able to say, take this cyanide. You know, and knowing.
Yeah.
That you're killing these people on fucking purpose.
And that's okay.
On
so
purpose.
That's another one. Is the
Jim Jones?
Jim Jones, the Johannesburg. or
Yes.
what are they called?
Yeah.
It was in
Ghana.
Ghana.
It was in
Yeah.
Ghana, but
It's
Yeah.
in South America.
Jonestown. That doesn't
Jonestown.
Jones, that
yeah.
was because of his name.
Yeah,
That's
the-
what they call. I mean, how many were
Massacre.
massacred? What, 300? How many? Did you?
911.
It was something like that.
911 dead.
That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
And it was like 300 something of them were children. Children.
They killed their own children.
They
Yeah.
would kill. Die
Well, a
as
lot
families.
of it was murder.
yeah.
That's
Because they
true,
went back and they said they found like needle marks,
Right.
where they would inject people.
because they didn't want to take it.
Yeah.
And if they ran away, they were shot.
shot.
And then Jim Jones was a bitch and had one of his nurse concubine women
Yeah.
shoot him
Yeah.
because he
Pussy
couldn't even
ass.
kill
Of
himself.
course not.
Yeah.
At least he did
man.
kill himself with his followers, though. I mean, that is
That's only
shocking.
because he killed that congressman.
That's
That's right,
because
yes, he did.
he was so paranoid
Yeah.
that he was like, they're coming to get us now. It's done.
Yeah.
They're gonna get us.
well, they were.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, they were, but like he had already been because he was so drugged up.
all
He
the
had
time.
so many drugs in his system. That
So why do I? Okay, it's been a long time since I've seen that movie about Jonestown, but he started as a street preacher, I do believe, in California.
no, he was
Was
in
it-
like Indiana.
Was it back east?
or
Okay,
Illinois.
right. But I do
I wanna
remember
say
that.
but
I'm
the
not sure,
church-
but he
the-
started as a preacher.
Yeah, but
But
it
the
did.
tr-
You're right. It did go to California.
It did.
Yeah, he
ended
did.
up-
He
right.
outgrew.
Right, back east, and came this way.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, he was. I mean, he was charming.
charismatic.
He was.
Yep.
It's smart.
And he made sure
Oh, and
he
it-
made people feel special because
Yeah.
like he ensured diversity. He was
Yes,
like
that was
you
his big
have
thing.
during the 60s and the
It's
70s
true.
when it was very segregated. They're
Right.
like no, like you will have
Yeah.
all different ages,
Exactly.
all different races.
Yeah.
And they would, because I remember watching one thing on him, and his son was like, he strategically sat people black, white,
Right.
black, white, so that you would see.
Yeah, the difference.
Diversity.
Yeah, good. I mean that. You know what? Okay, yay. But at the end of the day, you're still a motherfucking cult leader.
Oh man! But the crazy stuff that he did when they did go to Guyana.
Yeah,
or
just say
whatever,
Jonestown. Just
they-
Jonestown.
Oh my
It's easier
goodness!
for me.
Like he was just breaking their psyches.
Yeah.
You know what did they call him? The White Knight or something? And he'd set alarms off all night long so that. no
Oh
one
yeah,
could
the White
sleep.
Knights,
Yeah.
because they had to practice. They had to do suicide practices,
Yes.
and they had to
and
do
just
Wait,
that's all it was
Wait, what?
fear mongering.
I never heard of that.
and getting ready to like
Yeah,
go
so he
check
would
the.
put-
He would do Kool-Aid. Was the thing. So they didn't
I know
actually
the
kill
Kool-Aid.
themselves with they didn't actually kill themselves. It was just cyanide
Cyanide.
flavored water.
Right.
That was it.
Right.
It wasn't actually Kool-Aid.
Right.
But for the suicide runs, the suicide drills, it was actually vats of Kool-Aid.
Yeah, and he would put it in front of them and ask them like, "Are you ready to die for the revolution?" And just to test them.
Yeah.
And then like, could you imagine like you don't know that that's not
Right.
cyanide in front of you? That's
But they
But that's
did it
how you-
anyway.
That's
And
how
that's-
you built it was
yeah.
because he took them out of the states. He physically isolated them
Yep.
in the middle of nowhere in
Yeah.
another country, took their passports,
Yeah.
took their money,
Yeah.
locked it all up,
Yep.
and their only source of living was literally him.
Right.
That was it.
I just
That was
can't.
he had the radio
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
call
Oh, yeah.
out. It was literally him. That was it. That was their savior.
Well, now, did he kill the congressman before that went down there to? Because I guess someone got out and they alerted the authorities here in America. And the
Well, a couple people.
the congressman from California, wasn't it? He went down there with
Senator
right.
Ryan.
Yeah, they went
Or
down there with
Senator Ryan.
with the delegate, right? With the delegation
Yeah.
to go see what was
And
up.
somebody slipped him a note. Like he and
Well, yeah, because
Somebody slipped them a
He
note.
told them like, you better you better show them how happy you are or whatever. So
Yeah.
they had this big
they kind
party.
of overdid it.
Yes.
If you see like videos from it, when he's like everything seems fine.
right.
I obviously some people were unhappy and they left, and that's fine. Y'all seem okay, and they exploded to applause and laughter and yelling and whooping it up, and they're like, that
Yeah.
seems a
Seems
little
weird.
much.
Yeah.
And then
And
they
then somebody
stayed-
slipped a note,
Oh.
and they were like, "We want to leave,"
Mm-hmm.
and then the dumbass reporter
Of course.
went straight to Jim Jones. It was like, somebody handed me this, and he was like,
What the? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
they want to leave, they can leave. And so they ended up, the reason it took them so long, the only reason it really happened was because they had to wait for a second plane because so many people wanted to leave. And so they'd stand there on the airstrip waiting
Right.
for a second plane.
Right.
So by that point, Jim
He's
Jones had
renegade.
sent the people to go shoot them.
God.
And
That
they
was so terrible,
killed
man.
Yeah.
a lot of people.
That's so
wounded some.
So terrible, man.
And they were like, one parent would be trying to drag their child out to go with the senator, and the other parent wouldn't let them.
Of course.
And they were like fighting over the kid.
Oh man, that's terrible. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. These people that are, they are dangerous people that are parts of the cults. I mean, look
But,
at
like, here's the thing.
Manson.
Here's-
Manson's a perfect example.
Let me-
He didn't do shit, but he sent his people out to kill everybody.
The thing, I'm gonna say one more thing about Jim Jones, because there was a quote that I saw that I really, it'll kind of sum up
Right.
how people feel about cults as a whole. After the airstrip shooting, after the senator, this lady Christine Miller, they had like a meeting afterwards to kind of get everybody together, like, all right, shit's going down, right? And she said that everyone has the right to their own destiny as individuals, and I think that I have the right to chase mine, and everybody else has the right to choose theirs. And somebody else, it wasn't even Jim Jones that addressed her back.
Right.
It was another follower
Right.
who's like, basically, I don't know what you're talking about, your individual life and your individual right. You're only here because of that man. You owe your life to that man.
No,
You're alive
motherfucker,
because
no.
of that man.
Nope.
Well, I'm
I
not
know,
saying
I
I
know.
agree, but I'm
Right.
saying like that's
That-
the
right.
mentality that they get switched to, of like,
Yeah.
you
I
owe
you
your
everything.
life
Yeah.
to this person. And that's why they get to that point
Right.
of, yes, I'll kill myself
Nope.
to defend you.
No. No. Only my children.
Not saying it's
Only my
right.
family.
I'm
you
just
know?
saying that's
Right. That's their
What it is.
mentality.
It's wild
Yes.
though.
It is.
I mean, again, it's just like Cynthia said. They break you. They break you down. They do all that psychological warfare on your on your psyche.
Yeah.
I mean, but here's the thing that I just read this that cults have become the object of sociological study within the context of the study of religious behavior. I agree with that. I agree that
I
cults.
think it is a
there's-
religious
I think cults are religion
behavior.
too. Behavior.
I don't know if it's necessarily always a religion,
Well,
but it's
well, how do we define a religion? I mean, that's how you figure that out. I mean, we have Mormonism, we have Christianity, which includes Catholicism, Judaism. I mean, we have all these. So, I personally think religion is a cult. I mean, you go.
I would agree.
Yeah, you go to a place of worship, whatever it may be, and to me, that's someone who has grown up in the church, and for the longest time, you believe all of it until you start seeing it too. I mean, the hypocrisy from your fellow church members. You're like, why? You're not supposed to be acting like that. So you start to lose, like, what is this? It's just a show. People just show up on Sunday, and even before they're walking out the church, they're already bad mouthing each other or somebody else in church. So what is it? People put religion on this high standard, and for me personally, I think it is a cult because they indoctrinate you with the things they think that you should believe, regardless of the religion. It's just truth. That's just the truth. I mean, I think so. Don't you?
I would agree with that.
I
I
mean-
mean, like you said, you're indoctrinated, and if you ask questions, if you don't
Yep.
believe, if you decide to do something different, they don't no longer want you. You're,
Yep.
like,
Yeah. Then they badmouth you.
yeah, and so it's like you're not allowed to think for yourself,
No.
and that's a cult.
Yes, it is. I mean, that's to me what's going on like nowadays with this MAGA bullshit. But to go back to like with Charles Manson, he never committed a crime, right? Per se.
Oh, he committed a lot of crimes.
Well, I mean, but he didn't.
he didn't kill those
He didn't
people.
exactly.
Yeah.
But he,
Well, oh, right, but he didn't kill anyone, though. I mean, he did commit like petty robbery, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't remember him ever killing somebody. I mean, but why did they send him to jail?
because he was the mastermind.
Right. And we have something like that going on now with this MAGA cult. Because when you can see with your own eyes and hear, with your own ears, and then hear some of the bullshit rhetoric coming out of people's mouth, because you have to defend Donald Trump no matter what. Because you can't say you were wrong. You can't say that he's a criminal, but he is. And the reason I can say that is because of facts. Facts, people. That's why I can say those things. So, you have people over here saying, well, what about this? It's not a what about them. It's not. It's just like, you committed the crime. Now you have to be accountable for that crime. And it's very simple. But when you try to tell someone, or you read this stuff like, Biden's not really the president, Trump is really the president, that's the world they really live in, that alternative. They really.
My favorite is when they
believe
say
in that.
it, they're like, no, Trump's really the president.
No.
And they're like, so everything like this military
Yeah.
mess up, so that's Trump's fault. And they're like,
Right,
no,
right.
no,
No, that's Biden's fault.
That's Biden's fault.
You're
It's
right.
like, but you just said Trump's the president, so Trump doesn't run the military. And they're like, yeah, he does.
But
It's like, so then
It's-
that
it's a
attack
weird-
was
it's a
from
weird
him. They're like,
delusion.
no,
It
it's
is a
two.
delusion.
There's the good military and the
right,
bad
and then
military.
there's the Trump's
Like,
military.
I literally saw that in a
I believe that.
interview. They're like, there's two.
I believe
Trump
that.
has the good one, and Biden has like,
That's a cult.
That's
It's
like, come on.
crazy.
it's 100% a cult. I mean, that's just your.
And I
It's
feel
a different
like,
reality.
I feel like that's a cult without a leader.
Yeah.
So like all these asinine conspiracy theories
Yeah.
or whatever you want to
Yeah.
call them,
Yeah.
their facts are just
Yeah.
spewed out, and there's no real structure to anything,
No,
and
right.
everyone's lying, and
Right.
and it's just like,
Trump's the only one telling the truth.
whoa, whoa.
Everybody else is lying. How is that? I mean, in here they say he says it's a witch hunt and all that bullshit. And the cult's like, it's a witch hunt. Oh, they're prosecuting. We're gonna rise up. Blah blah blah. Every motherfucker who's gonna testify against him is a Republican.
yeah.
His own administration, his own people. So let's deal in facts. Let's just call it what it is. MAGA is a cult. I mean, but they're proud of it. They don't care. We're fine with it. We're fine with being ignorant to the facts. We don't care. Trump's the greatest. No, you love Trump because he let your worst instincts be at the forefront. And that's racism. And that's just how I feel about that. Go on, Liz. What do you got to say?
With your
I was
red
just
hat.
trying.
I know, with the
I
red
know.
hat.
I'm gonna go get one and wear it on the podcast.
But you know what I mean. What's wrong with people who are in cults that can't see reality for when it was staring you right in the face? There has to be some. I wish I would have studied this and looked this up to see what the psychological effects, besides like saying like community and someone's making you feel, but why? On
because
that
once
kind
they
of
bring
level,
you
I don't
in,
get
once
it.
you
I
get
don't
brought
understand
in,
it.
it's like you're kind of built into the mentality. Like it gets drilled
It
into
seeps
you.
into your brain.
Well, it gets drilled into your mind that the person that's leading is like godlike in a sense. They know everything. They have all the answers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have that connection.
And
that
you
have.
don't
Right.
know everything. You have questions,
they
and
know
they have
everything.
the answers.
Right. Of course.
And that's kind of what goes into it. That's how you build that. You kind of get that into that loyalty mode because they're like, okay, well, they can answer my questions. Whether they answer them right or wrong is irrelevant. They give you an answer.
Yeah. And I guess it just depends because there are plenty of people who have left cults.
Yep, there
Like
has.
there really are people that kind of woke up to it.
Yeah.
But like
We were talking. The Remy was one of them. We talked about her from Scientology. That's a cult.
oh, I would agree with that.
What do you think?
Do I think they're a cult?
Mm-hmm.
I personally think they're very cult-like. If you went and define it as a cult,
Okay,
it's very
I'll
close.
take that. I'll take that. I'll take that. I hear you. I mean, they are tax exempt, so there's some kind of church.
Yeah, it is religious.
I don't know. I'm sorry to interrupt.
But
you. What were you gonna
evangelists
say,
are
honey?
technically like
Yeah, they're a cult too.
I mean, it's the
All
same
of it is.
concept.
It is.
Hell, Jim Jones used the same tactics
He sure did. Yes, he
of the
did.
healing and everything, the faith healing.
What was so attractive about Manson though? Why did he have followers? I mean, what? I don't
Manson
even.
was,
I mean, why? What?
That one, because it was mostly the women. Like, he would get women.
Yeah, he would.
And I remember there was a story. It was about how, because he met Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys. Because he was obsessed with the Beatles. Couldn't get to them. But he did get into, like, Brian Wilson's inner
Yeah,
circle.
they're right there. Yeah.
Because, well, technically, the girls got into Brian Wilson's circle.
Oh yeah.
And then
Of
Brian
course.
Wilson
Yeah.
came home one day, and all the girls that were in his house suddenly had Charles Manson in his house. And he got like, he was very intrigued by him because he's like, how
He's very.
do you have all these women?
Yeah, I mean.
And your music it's okay. It's not the way you put it. I would change it, but
Manson said that.
no, Brian
Brian
Wilson.
said that
Because
too.
like Brian Wilson brought him into the studio one
Oh,
time, and he
okay,
was like,
okay.
we'll record, and Charles Manson was like, okay, but you're not changing my song.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, well, let's play it, let's try it. And then they were like, well, maybe we should make changes here and there. And he was like, no, and stormed out. Apparently, that's how the story goes. And
Wow.
then he went like, yeah,
Then he went crazy.
he was already crazy.
Yeah. I mean, but I never. That's one of those ones that I don't
But
understand.
like that's how he ended up. He has an album and everything.
So what? So
It's
you
just-
know?
But I'm just saying, like
Yeah.
he's like that mystery of.
Maybe I
He's
should
the
be a
hard
cult
to
leader.
explain.
Maybe I'll
one.
be a cult leader. You know what? I would be. You know,
I feel like
this
you're
is my cult.
already a cult leader in your own mind.
No, not really. I'm other things besides a cult leader, but we'll talk about that another time. But anyway, I would want my cult members to give me money and bring me pot and an occasional glass of wine. And I would tell them whatever they want to hear. I mean, that's what it is, right? I mean, it's that simple. I mean, if you break it down, that's what it's all about.
And if you don't go terrorizing people,
Yeah.
you won't have to worry about the them against us
Exactly.
mentality.
Yeah.
Because that's the part of it that leads into the killing and all that. It's like it's them against us. It's them against us.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and that's
it turns into that.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's the Branch Davidians, the one in Waco. That's
It was
what
a
that
lot
turned-
of them too.
But that one
was a big one.
That was a big one. That definitely was one that turned against us, against them. And all those women and kids were burned and killed. He went around shooting everybody before
my
the
gosh.
ATF got there. That one was, what was his name? David Koresh?
Yeah.
David Koresh. That.
But now they have the whole. They're like, who really fired first?
Right.
Because the FBI and all that, they're like, he did, and everybody that
Doesn't
was on
matter.
the compound were like,
Yeah,
no, the
who
FBI
cares?
did.
Yeah. And even if they
That
did, so
guy's
what?
a- yeah,
You know? He.
Like the world is
Yeah. I mean.
better off without him.
Yes. That's the thing about these cults. I just don't. Let's see. Let's name another one. We did Heaven's Gate, Charles Manson, Waco, Jonestown. I know there's one other big one too. That we did MAGA. That one I just can't believe it's really happening on America's soil. But we are having a cult, a big cult.
No,
a
it's,
third of America is
Buddha.
involved
It's called
in that cult.
Buddhafield. It was
Buddhafield?
run by a.
What's that?
He was a actor, a failed actor, in California, who got people to follow him.
Wow, I've never heard of him. I'll have to do some research on that. Buddhafield?
Buddhafield,
I've never heard of that one.
led by is Jaime Gomez.
Is it still going on now?
No,
I mean, there's still cults that are going on. Oh, and of course Scientology, but there's some small minor cults too that we probably don't even know nothing
and depending
about.
on what you would qualify as
Exactly,
a cult.
that's true too.
So that's how you
There's
can go
tons
into
of
like.
quotes.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you could say Scientology
I
or like
would.
Jehovah's Witness or
I'll just put under one blanket of all religion as a cult.
Yeah.
I will do that. I don't
Depending on-
care if
yeah.
it's a Jehovah Witness or Hare Krishners, the ones that used to be in there. Why aren't they in the airports anymore? Do you guys remember that? Maybe you guys are too young for that.
I've
In
heard
the-
of it.
They'd be in the airport. They wore long white robes. They all were bald, and they would carry a tambourine, and they would go spreading peace and love. But they were very, very creepy. But they would pass out pamphlets, and you're just like, wow, it was wild. Look that up. Yeah, that's
There was
old.
another one. It was in
That's so funny thing about that.
I can't remember where it was, but it was Indian, I want to say, guy and his wife, and they moved everybody out.
Oh
to
yes.
This small town, and eventually took it over and started treating the
sun, moon, sun, the Moonies.
Oh
That's-
yeah.
The Moonies.
Moonies.
That's
they started terrorizing everybody that
Yes.
had already lived there.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? It's just all like, why?
And then
But
they
why?
went to war too, like Waco.
I would never. I don't know. It's not my mentality, and I do really believe that if you want to be part of a cult, that you do have to feel like that. You do want to have that sense of community, but you can have that without giving up your sense of self. You can have your community. You can, find people who care about you or who think the same way you do, but you don't have to give yourself up to a cult leader just because he made you feel good. Sorry, I don't see
Well,
it.
I think
don't
people
see
always
it.
realize they're joining
They
a
don't.
cult
I agree with that too.
until they're like so far in it,
Right.
and then you get pointed out like you're in a cult. Like, oh, I'm not in a cult.
Yeah.
So what do you do at that point when someone does tell you that? What's your response? To say that?
It's
Like,
still-
Well, I think that's where that self-reflection has to come in.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have that self-reflection, then maybe you do. I
Yeah.
don't know, I'm not in a cult.
Yeah.
Ah.
yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But I mean, that's the thing. You have to really, take a look in the mirror and say, well, why did someone say that to me? Maybe I need to think about that. I mean, be like self-reflection. Don't ever lose your sense of self. That's what I'm trying to say when it comes to this cult bullshit, because it really is easy to lose that when you haven't had someone to teach you that, haven't had that in your life. So I think maybe. It is easy to lose your sense of self, but really try not to, and use your critical.
Especially if you don't know who yourself is yet.
I still think people know who they are at their core. I think you grow and you change, yeah, but I think who you are at your
but
core.
if you catch somebody like at 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, they're still figuring themselves out.
They are.
Yeah.
If
They
you
are.
catch them at the right moment,
Right. Yeah, it's
you
easy.
can imprint
Yes, you can.
on them and tell them who they
When
are.
you say that, I'm Team Edward. Was Team Jacob that imprints, right?
Yeah.
The wolves,
fucking
right?
know.
Don't you remember from Twilight?
Yes.
No.
It's Jacob.
Whatever, it is Jacob Hunt. Anyway, because you said imprint.
I only
it's
watched
just-
like the first
Well,
one
whatever.
or two.
I said it because you said imprint.
That's
But
fine.
anyway,
That's okay.
Whatever. Oh, just kidding, Liz.
Just
All
for
right.
that, was it Team Jacob? Team Jacob.
Sorry, Jacob. Not this Jacob. I'm definitely Team Vampire. I would love to stick my things in
Vampires
somebody.
don't sparkle.
So, who says they did in that show? Have you seen a vampire?
Yeah. Anyway, and glittery.
All right, guys. On that note, thank you, Cynthia, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It was a good topic. Are we done? Or you have anything else to say? Do you have anything you want to close with?
No, just be smart. That's all. And like crazy people, just
They're everywhere.
watch out.
Yeah, watch out. They are everywhere. What about you?
I'm good.
With her red hat on.
Just keep the.
Keep the faith. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say keep the. They said there was like this joke. It was like always keep aluminum foil
Oh,
on you.
For your tin.
So that whenever you're like, if somebody
tinfoil
starts talking about crazy stuff, you can just make a hat, and then
Yeah.
they'll like,
Yeah, they'll understand.
or you can give them a tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
Just be like, here.
Yeah. Well, on that note, folks, we thank you for listening. As always, check us out. Don't you have something to engage them in with?
Oh, Bonnie
Yes.
wants me to tell you about go to the.
Bonnie wants me to tell you.
Bonnie says
Yes.
My cult leader.
'Cause she won't-
Bonnie,
Yeah, my
cult-
cult leader.
our cult leader
our
is
leader
demanding
says go.
that you go to Instagram at I
Yes.
Hate That Shit Official.
Yes.
Go, if you're listening to this on audio, go to YouTube.
Yes.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Yes. Do that.
Go to the website. And
Yes.
you can go, it's IHateThatShit.net, and you can go to the store and buy the cult leader's merch
Yes.
to
There you
give the cult
go.
leader some money.
There you go. That works. There, that works. Thanks, folks. And as always, don't let shit get you down. You're not alone. We're all in this together. Peace.